paperwork to be filed, although the paperwork has to be filed, you don't have to wait for that. And that's extremely important to know. Because if you think that, okay, well, I guess I'm going to have to wait until the next meeting, you're going to be at a disadvantage again. And again, this is why it's so important to understand the basics of the parliamentarian procedure in rules of order so you know exactly, how to defeat and win some of the battles and possibly defeat some of the things that you don't want being passed at your convention. How are we doing on time, Indy?
We got 7 minutes left in this segment, and then actually 7 minutes left in this hour, and then if you want to, we'll take calls after the next break.
Yeah, that'll be fine. So again, any amendments that you have, you need to have them pre-written, okay? Don't go in there and try to amend something right then and there. Make sure that it's pre-written and it's ready to go, so when it's enacted, it can be handed to everybody there and everybody's on the same page. And this way, it doesn't slow you down, and it doesn't take away valuable time that you could be doing, trying to pass other things. Now, I had also noticed that some people were saying, well, geez, don't they even take any breaks? A bunch of us were getting hungry, and they just kept going and going and going. You can literally call at any time for a break, which is typically a temporary adjournment. We adjourn for 10 minutes or 30 minutes or 1 hour. You can basically do this at any time in the assembly, but it needs to be voted on. Okay, and I think we covered a little bit of that in the beginning, didn't we, Andy? Or am I overdoing it?
Well, that was the first time we've talked about breaks, though, and that's an important point, I think, because, and all of these are important points, because I'm sure that well, I don't want to get into comments right now. I want to leave you the floor. I yield my time.
Yeah, you got it, Indy.
I yield to the gentleman. I yield to the gentleman of the brains.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. The fact is you can move to adjourn basically at any time with a time limit. Just, again, stand, as long as you've got the majority of the vote. And again, you may not be the only people that are hungry, folks. There may be a whole room full of people that are hungry, and they're hoping somebody stands up and says, let's adjourn for 1 hour for lunch. So that's extremely important. If you're starting to get weary or tired, or, because you're losing energy because you've already been in there for 8 hours and you haven't been able to eat, stand up and move to adjourn for, 30 minutes or 1 hour, whatever it is you think you feel that you need to be able to get everybody fed and get their energy back in them again. Even though a lot of this is about sitting down and just talking, it's not really physically being tired, Andy. It's a mental tired. You get brain tired. And that can wear you down worse than being physically tired. That's why it's important, to make sure that you have food, to keep your body functioning, so you can function properly and have a clear head. I've seen this before. Some of our meetings that we had years ago, some of them would go on for 14, even 16 hours sometimes. And you're just, almost retarded by the time you leave because you haven't been able to grasp, the last 4 hours of the convention. Because you just weren't physically able to do it or even mentally prepared to do it. So again, if you want to adjourn, do it at any time, but don't make a nuisance out of it. Again, folks, some of these things can become a nuisance. Try to follow their game. Okay, they've set the rules of the game up. It's extremely important that we play by their rules. Because if we can beat these people at their own game by their own rules, that's going to send a massive statement to the rest of America. And again, this movement is bigger than Dr. Paul. He said it himself. It's not about him, it's about his message. So fight your battles one at a time and focus on the victories that you can obtain, and don't focus on, the defeats that you take, because you're always going to be defeated once in a while. All right, let's move on, Indy.
Okay, we've got about 3 minutes left in the segment, Steve. What would you like to do?
Okay, well, I'm going to finish up this one comment, and I think we should probably go to questions. I don't want to overwhelm anyone. And, maybe we should probably do another show. Maybe.
Well, bear in mind, we can, we can do another show. Bear in mind that my intention primarily here is to have this audio edited and distributed so that people can study it.
Oh, okay. All right, I gotcha. All right. So we talked about amendments and how they should be written. And, again, you need to make sure that any of the portions of the amendments that you're trying to amend in the paragraphs do not pertain to other paragraphs in your bylaws at your convention. All right. Now, something that I think would be extremely helpful to people, Indy, is if they go to robertsrules.org, I saw a couple of charts there that I thought might be helpful. And basically, these are, kind of like a simple cheat sheet that will talk to you about some of the things that I've addressed here, okay, and what you actually need to get it passed, whether you need a second, whether it can be debatable, whether you need a two-thirds majority or just the majority. And I think that would be a great tool for you to print out, okay, and bring it with you. To be honest with you, if you can go out and buy the book, you should have Robert's Rules of Order, readily available at your convention, so you can always refer to it while you're there.
I just might mention that you can get Robert's Rules of Order from Amazon used for $2 or $3. And there's also any number of Robert's Rules of Order simplified, like Robert's Rules of Order for Dummies, The Complete Idiot's Guide to Robert's Rules of Order. I also noticed an interesting title here a minute ago. Where is that thing? Called Bylaws, Writing, Amending, and Revising. So there are some good things. There are some good things out there. Now, we have about a minute left. Let me ask you a question, because you had indicated a second ago that maybe you had more material than you could cover in this hour. If so, may I propose that we go on, we continue into the next hour without taking questions and just let you exhaust everything that you've possibly got to say on this subject, and then I can take this and edit it. Edit out the breaks and edit out the whatever, and get it down as tight as possible, and then have it be a seminar, audio seminar that we can distribute. What do you think of that?
To be honest with you, Indy, I only prepared an hour.
Okay.
I can ramble for the next hour, but I don't know.
Oh, no, we don't want you to ramble at all. If you want to go to callers after the break, we will do that.
That'd probably be a good thing, and then we can, get into.
All right. Well, callers, support the movement here and call now at 512-646-2008, and you can talk to Dr. Steve Parent, and you can ask him your questions.
Welcome to the Ron Paul Revolution. You are a part of history in the making. Ron Paul Revolution Radio. Ron Paul Revolution Radio. RTRradio.com is America's ultimate source of news, information, and all things Ron Paul. You don't have to be a spectator anymore, as the mainstream media puts forth their hand-picked corporate candidates who truly don't have your best interest in mind. Ron Paul Revolution Radio is your meeting place to support Ron Paul's fight to stop the illegal war, national ID card, and the blatant destruction of your constitutional rights. Visit our website at RTRradio.com for the latest Ron Paul campaign information, videos, and live breaking news. Tell everyone you know to go to RTRradio.com. Ron Paul Revolution Radio. Who is Ron Paul, the Republican candidate for president? Ron Paul served his country as a flight surgeon after the Cuban Missile Crisis. As a young doctor, Ron Paul worked nights in the emergency room of an inner-city hospital, taking care of everyone, whether they could pay or not. As an OBGYN, Ron Paul delivered over 4,000 babies. Dr. Ron Paul knows our healthcare system needs real change, where patients and doctors are in charge, not big corporations or government bureaucrats. As a congressman for almost 2 decades, Ron Paul knows our Constitution is there to protect our freedom and limit government. He has never voted for a tax increase or an unbalanced budget. His record clearly shows he will cut taxes and stop runaway spending. People who know him call him the taxpayer's best friend. To learn more about this remarkable man, go to RonPaul2008.com. That's RonPaul2008.com.
I'm Ron Paul, and I approve this message. This message brought to you by grassroots efforts to elect Ron Paul.